so I just went and picked this up. This is a 2008 S70 Bobcat, and as you can already tell, it doesn't run. We have some sort of engine problem in there. Now at first glance of this thing, you can already see the tyres are shot. If they're not flat or bald, they've got huge chunks taken out. But overall, it is actually a fairly clean machine. I didn't get a key with it, and I got a little bit carried away when I first got it home. I hooked a battery up to it, and I sort of already started without you guys, and it's got some kind of a fuel pump problem, and we're down a cylinder. We have these panels here that would have slid. They just need a little bit of attention, but it would have had a door as well. That would have been nice to have a little enclosed cab, but unfortunately I didn't get the door. So it came with a 4-in-1 bucket with a smooth edge that goes on it as well, a set of forks, and a bucket broom. And I thought the bucket broom was going to be, like, it looks pretty rough, but it's a really good brand. It's a Digger brand, and the bristles on it are actually still in really good nick. So I'm hoping I can make an adapter for this to go on my skid steer, and it also came with 3 other tyres. Got some nice purple coolant there. So it has had work done. He has looked after it to some degree. Now in the back here we've got a little 3-cylinder Kubota diesel, and I'm pretty certain it's number 3 cylinder that's down. We've got no suction on the inlet, and we've got really excessive blow by, and you can hear it when you crank it as well. We've also got this muffler's seen better days. Someone's had a fiddle around in here because the muffler's all been unbolted even though it's broken. The inlet's all been off it, and they've actually, it's going to be hard to tell in there, but they've kinked the return line on the injectors, and so it's going to be interesting to see. I haven't had the cab up yet to see if they've done anything with the fuel pump, because we have fuel up to the pump but no fuel to the injector. But I think what we'll do is we'll start off with giving it a good steam clean, flip the cab up, and give it all a wash out so it's a little bit nicer to work on. Someone's put this on the return line. Oh, and there you go, look, they've had, that's the intake there, and they've had the pipe off that for some reason. It's had the filters done a couple years ago, which is good. I think that's gonna break. Well, that's surprising. Started stripping a little bit. Well, that's it for the wiring. That's nice and simple. They don't give you much room. So now it's really just this front plate at the front here. There's about 8 bolts. There's 6 bolts there to hold that on. My main concern is that pump bracket up there. Most people pull these out with the high stat pumps on them, but I'm trying to avoid all the mess. If I can just pull the motor out, I think it'll be a lot quicker. Like, I didn't even have to pull the radiator or anything out, which is a bonus as well. I think before we pull the motor out, we'll just sort out our bolts here, because previous times I've gone to pull the motor out and then stuff goes flying everywhere. I don't normally put them in bags, but because I think this is going to be sitting a while, I'd rather just have them. I don't even need to label them, because I pulled it apart, I know where it all goes back together. It'd be different if someone else pulled it apart. Well, then you'd sort of want them or someone to label it. Get this fuel sorted. So I've got the motor here sitting on a pallet, and straight away I've already noticed this has a heap of end float. It doesn't kind of make sense because we haven't got any load on the crank as it's belt driven. So it's going to be interesting when we pull this down to see what we've found. You can see now how they've pinched off that return line. They also put this on here as well, which I don't know what the reasoning behind that was. Obviously we're getting no fuel out of the fuel pump, whether there's something wrong with the fuel pump, or because I didn't get all these brackets were missing off these injector lines as well. So that was all split, that pipe. They've actually cut that return line. How this pipe was like that, it looks like it's actually been like that for a while. So if they've left that, obviously it was over fueling, or the engine was worn out and the more fuel helped it run, or interesting. at first glance we don't have any bent valves. And what's also interesting is if we got all our pistons there. Oh, that's oh, it's broken a rod. We got movement on those two. Why haven't we on that one? We've definitely got a busted rod on that one. It's and that liner there has some, I don't know, whatever that is, I can feel that on my nail. Whether that'll clean up or not. I think we'll just drain whatever's left of oil in the sump. If this comes off, it's nice and black oil. We have a little bit of, oh, that's metal in the bottom there. There's a fair bit of metal in the bottom there. Uh-oh. Oh, look. That's our problem. I wonder why it's done that though. Has it picked? That kind of tells me they've run it out of oil. Let's that's just a bit of silicone on there. Let's punch a couple of these rods out and just see what they look like. They look fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, there's a little bit of marking on there, but again, this big end is fine. I'm happy with that. Even that crankshaft in there's, that's fine. I wonder why that's, maybe because they've had this fuel issue on it, or a bad injector, and it's just flooded the cylinder and hydro locked it or something like that. That would, but then again, we've got heaps of end float, not unless these Kubotas are meant to have heaps. I wonder if I can bash that out without breaking anything. Oh, that freed the rod up. Look at that. And that bearing's fine. What? Oh, look at that. Oh, it's got a bit of wear on the side there. That would have been when it broke. They probably ran for that. Now, how are you meant to get the rod out now? Even that crank journal looks fine. I suppose everything's going to have to try and push out the top. Again, that bearing's fine. That liner's actually fine. You can still see we've got some cross hatching there. I'd just skim that with the hone, and oh, we have a fraction of a damage in the bottom of that one. What about that side? That side's fine, so it's going to be too hard to tell on camera, but right where that torch is facing, where that journal is, there's a hair chipped off there. Which once I run the hone through that I'm happy to run that. So what I reckon has happened is, judging by the twist on that rod there, we've had some kind of a hydro lock happen in the motor. Now, there's no evidence on the machine that it has been physically rolled, but we've got big evidence that we've got, like, the previous owner, somebody's done this. So we've got a way, whether we're way over fueled, whether we've got a bad injector. Normally with an indirect motor, if you've got a crook injector, it'll just still run, but maybe that injector's was just flowing fuel out and filled the whole cylinder up as it's come up, and it's just bent it like that. But these aren't the small little rods. You wouldn't think that would happen. So it'd be interesting to know what you guys would think, but again, they haven't run it out of oil, because all our other big ends over there, they're all fine. The pistons all look fine. We've still got good cross hatching through the motor. I think I got out super lucky, because normally when you do a rod like that, there's not enough room, especially when the rod goes on the side, for the bolts to clear the block. Normally we'd fracture the block, or it would just physically blow a hole in it, and then it would be the end of it. I also found out why we've got heaps of end float, and that's because the rear main seal, I think, like you can see that in there, I think the rear main seal acts as a thrust washer in this. We've got 2 sets of bolts on the rear housing that bolts up there, and I pulled that housing off so I could squeeze it out in the machine. It was sort of the only way I was going to get it out without taking those hydro pumps out, hydrostat pumps, sorry. So I reckon that's why we've got that infloat. So that is another problem solved. So what I'll do now is I'm going to order a new piston, a new rod. I'm going to hone up those cylinders and just see what that bottom one comes up before I go ordering a liner. If it's just a liner, that's a real simple fix, but if I don't have to put it in, that'll be even better. So I think I'm going to put the sump back on. I might even temporarily put the head back on and just wrap the motor up, just so it doesn't get any more dirt in it. There's no point cleaning it now until all our parts arrive, so I only get to clean it and assemble it once. So that's going to do it for this video. I'll get some parts ordered, and then hopefully we'll get this back together.